Max Büsser, how are you, sir?
I am happy and absolutely and utterly knackered. I am so dead. I've rarely been this tired.
If I'm not mistaken, you just got off a plane from Dubai, am I correct?
No. I actually came in 2 days ago, went to Grenoble, just come back to Geneva. No, what really tired me?
Yeah, tell me.
4 days of answering non-stop, I'm not joking, 16 to 18 hours a day, all the thousands of messages. I'm not alone in the company, but we received on M.A.D.1 RED. And so we were completely, totally overwhelmed. And I mean, I've been like a madman on my computer answering people.
Wow.
But it's been incredible. It's been a bit overwhelming.
Well, that's incredible, though. And I heard a rumor that it's something like 18,000 people oversubscribed. I won't ask you to comment on that, but that's...
Well, today, I think we're at 17,500 lottery tickets.
Right.
We've still got 10 days to go.
Amazing.
Look, we'll see how this goes. We've tried to be as fair as possible, but if I'd imagined the toll it was going to take on all of us, I'm not sure I'd have done this. I have to rethink this. Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect segue because I think of Max Büsser by the Jewish term mensch, right? Which means like a guy who just does good acts, right? Because that's his nature. And one of the reasons I feel this way is because, well, there's many, but last year when we did a charity auction to benefit breast cancer, right? The Pink Dial Project, Max gave us a unique pink M.A.D.1, right? And that watch went for a staggering $172,000, which to me is also a demonstration of how much in demand Eurovision for horology is, regardless of the original price point of these watches. But it's also an act of incredible kindness. So Max, I haven't had the opportunity to thank you in person, so thank you.
Great pleasure. Honestly, we were again shocked, and all the love we get. I think karma actually exists.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And that kind of act of kindness, we'll get back to that in the end as well, because there's kind of a link to that. So there's a reason I mentioned that, but I also want to congratulate you on the great success of the M.A.D.1 RED version, the public version. So good luck also allocating that watch.
We decided the people who'd written to us, get it. Well, of course, then we've got thousands of people said, yeah, but I mentioned something on social media. I was like, no, we had to choose those who actually wrote to us.
Right.
And so there are a lot of upset people. And then it's a lottery.
Yeah.
And honestly, we're expecting, I don't know, say 2,000-3,000 people to sign up. And
Incredible.
as I said, we're at over 17,000 after 4 days. And good grief, I don't know where this is going.
How do you manage the fact that that watch on the secondary market is like a $30,000 watch?
Doesn't make any sense. It's incredibly annoying. It's interesting because the whole community polices itself. So we keep on getting these messages from our fans going, look, this guy is actually flipping his watch. and we were trying to play detective a lot in the last, actually the first ones arrived in November, December. So from June to December, nothing actually happened. December to now, we see these pieces on the secondary market. And then we realized we're taking so much energy trying to police this whole thing we're talking of 3 to 5% of the customers who are playing games. And then we realized that just don't use up that energy for that. Use up your energy to create great products for the 95% who are not playing games. And there will always be, the guys who want a game, they want to find ways around, they'll always find ways around. Let's just forget trying to police this thing.
Right.
When we find one, I mean, we really find a guy, then he's of course out.
Right.
But for the rest, I mean, it's so much energy for 5% of people who should not have received the watch.
I love it. Focus on the positivity.
Exactly.
Really. Well, Max, I also love the fact that you're here today because I consider you to be the greatest champion for independent watchmaking. And I kind of feel if Max Büsser didn't exist, independent watchmaking, which has now become pretty much the most popular type of watchmaking today, would not exist in the way that it does. So I'm going to go back in time a little bit and back to your first job. Well, actually, I guess it's your second job because you were initially at Jaeger with, right? And then you got headhunted to become the CEO of Harry Winston. And there you created one of the most revolutionary concepts of all time, the Opus, which became the primary champion for independent watchmakers. Max, tell us a little bit about that.
Wow. I didn't expect to go back that far. Look, it's, again, helping somebody out. Now today, François-Paul Journe is an icon, he's a legend. 21 years ago, when he launched his brand, he was struggling. And we were having dinner a couple of times that year in Basel World, and he was telling me how difficult it was to explain to people what he'd done, knowing that he had signed NDAs and he couldn't say what he actually had done before. And I just popped the idea, it's like, why don't we do something together and we can tell the world what a genius you are. And it started off like that. We're walking down the escalator from hall 1-1 to hall 1 on the Basel World. And there was never any intention of it becoming a series originally. It was just like, let's help a friend out. And helping a friend out came full back, and we've helped everybody, and everybody's helping each other, and it became a movement. It became actually something way larger than we ever expected.
That's amazing. So for those of you guys who have not heard of Opus, I guess you must have been living in a cave for the last 20 years.
Or they're much younger than us.
Or they're much younger than us,
Possible.
potentially, yes. Max basically took independent watchmakers, which were usually shrouded in obscurity, hiding behind the scenes because of the relationship they had with brands, and he put them on the stage, and he put the spotlight on them. And I discovered François Paul Journe, Vianney Halter, Uwe.
Felix Baumgartner and Martin Fry. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I remember that's the way I really discovered the true depth of what they were capable of achieving. And these guys are all legends today, right?
Yeah.
But that's just kind of part one of Max's massive achievement related to independent watchmaking, because in part two of it, he becomes one of the key independent watchmakers himself. 2005, I remember, I was sitting on the terrace of a hotel in Taormina, Sicily, right?
Yes.
And you explained to me that you were going to go your own path, and because there was no alternative, and I was like, wow, this is going to be so cool, and it has been, Max.
It's been a roller coaster. I mean, I think it's early June, we're going to unveil our 20th caliber.
Wow.
In 17 years. When I launched MB&F, I had one idea, which was the HM1, which was our 8 watch. I had a design of the HM2, which was not at all the HM2 you actually got to see, because I was actually thinking of using always the same case. Luckily, I didn't. and I had a little sketch of a 3 with just 2 cones and something happening.
Right.
And that's it. And there I go. I put all my savings, and launched this crazy idea. Some retail partners were crazy enough to finance me at the beginning. I owe them a lot. Today, it's incredible how when you grow older, you realize how grateful you should be.
Indeed.
Well, when you're young, you just think you're entitled. and so I actually really have to commend all of these guys. Were incredible.
That's awesome.
And then we just set upon doing this story. And as I've mentioned a few times, we nearly went bust a few times during the story. And then that was 2005, 2007. We managed to deliver the first HM1s. HM4 2010 with the Thunderbolt with the 2 reactors, which terrified me and was an incredible success. Then Legacy Machine comes about. Then we create the Mad Gallery, completely clueless with no idea what the hell we were doing. Then we start creating the first clocks and music boxes. And then a few years later, the Flying T, I decided to create a ladies' watch, which is 2 centimeters thick and with a flying tourbillon, and everybody's looking at me like, what the hell is that? And then M.A.D.1, and wow, I mean, it's very difficult in a little time to just explain all the emotions which I've gone through, the stories of the human beings of just all, they've been there at a moment which makes this story relevant. This is not about me. This is about, okay, yeah, I've got a lot of weird, crazy ideas, but it's all these people who've come and made these ideas come true or enrich them, like Alain Silberstein, like others, and you realize way later that the journey is more important than the products.
That's so
I
cool.
thought the products were what I was meant to do. I thought that my idea, my story was only meaningful because there were products, but it's actually the journey is more important.
That's incredible, and I love the courage with which you've always faced this. It's a kind of seizing the day constantly, which I absolutely adore. And you know, I love the fact that you're so limitless. I mean, that you created these super kind of incredibly futuristic kinetic sculptures, you know, and then after that, you created one of the most stunning like visions for neoclassical watchmaking as well. That you created an all-new way of displaying and selling your watches, along with championing other people's beautiful object arts. I love the fact that you actually actually did a collaboration with one of the biggest jewelry brands in the world as well, Bulgari, which I have to say was extraordinary. Then I love the fact that you've created a friend's watch, which has now become probably one of the hottest watches in the universe as well. But Max, what you've taught me is that it's always important to celebrate friendship. You know, I mean, the brand itself is Max Büsser and Friends. And so I started a new company recently, and it's about creating, you know, really cool watches. The name of the company is called Grail Watch. And there will be different things that we're focused on, different sort of pillars. But pillar number one is collaborations through friends. So Max, I mean, here it is. This is a watch that in many ways is an homage to your philosophy in life. And I can't think of a greater honor than for you to be the first customer of the very first Büsser. Here it goes.
Can I actually say that you actually showed me a drawing in September last year?
Yes.
Which was, I was very, very touched that you did. It was like, it's 100% confidential. And I remember we were in the street and you showed me on your phone and I was like, I want that. I just want that watch. And because it celebrates two of the people I admire most in this industry. It's always again about people. I mean, Benoît and Alain, both great friends. They're coming together for the first time.
Indeed.
It had to be this. So I'm going to discover this, huh? The first time was only on a drawing.
Right.
Cool. This is so cool. This is so cool. Ha.
Max, you know, honestly, can I just say now that when I showed you the watch, because you're one of the guys, if not, you know, related to independent watchmaking, the guy I admire most, the fact that you liked it and the fact that you wanted to buy it was like a dream come true to me. Like I actually was walking around feeling kind of delirious for like hours afterwards, and that this moment is happening now is even more of a dream come true. So thank you, sir, so much for the incredible compliment.
Look, you can't go wrong when you have those two people working on a product, and for the first time.
So guys, at this point, I guess you probably know that the first collaboration for Grail Watch number one, is a collaboration between Récentes, Benoît Mintiens, and Alain Silberstein, the legend, which I know is a guy that has a huge importance for you personally as well. You know, Max, tell us about Alain Silberstein, what he means to you, and how also you ended up collaborating with him on two watches back in 2009.
I remember in the early 90s when I was at Jaeger and we were all at Basel World, when Basel World wasn't even called Basel World. I would remember there was one booth I would immediately go and see the day before the fair, actually 1 or 2 days before the fair would arrive to set up our booth. I would immediately go and see was Alain's. And I'd never met Alain. I actually met Alain for the first time in 2008 for the first time. So we're talking early 90s, because every year, while he was always using usually stock standard movement, he would manage to come out with something which was truly amazing.
Wow.
I mean, you remember, of course, the colors, the Bauhaus, we all know that. The first sapphire case, the fact of wrapping his cases in leather and crocodile. Well, you couldn't do that today, probably. and all the different ideas he had, and designs and drawings. And every year I was like, wow, he's done it again. He's again found something new. And I never met him. I never had the courage to meet him. And Tempus in Singapore, Michael Tay had organized that. I think it was the second one, it was early 2008. Or was it? Oh no, it's probably 2007. And he's there, and I'm sitting next to him at the first dinner.
Oh wow.
And I'm like this gushing fanboy, and he has no idea why. And he's like, who is this guy?
Come on.
And no, it's just beginning. It's just the beginning of MB&F.
Right.
And so I'm like, I'm a fan, and we talk about all sorts of things. And I just, at some point, say, well, do you want to design one of my pieces? Do you want to redesign one of my pieces? And it's like, why not? He's polite. And then I had only HM1 and HM2. So I said, look, you choose whatever you want and you redesign it, and I will, I'll take it from there. And so, I don't know if I told you this story. Then so, I was expecting tons of color,
right? Because
that's what I knew him for. So he chooses my HM2, and then he sends me this drawing. He always, as you see, draws in 2D.
Yeah.
So he sends me this drawing in 2D of our HM2, where every single 3D part of it had been just eradicated. All the parts where I'd made it all sculptural, it was like a black box.
Right.
all in black, and just like the 3 little symbols which were in color, all the rest virtually was in black. And I received this message, and this is not at all what I expected. It's my very first collab at MBNF. I mean, it's the first time I'm giving one of my babies away to somebody to change. And he, actually, I think I don't answer for like 3 days because I don't know what to answer. And then on the 3rd day, he sends me a message like, did you receive my design, my drawing? And I remember talking with Serge, who my CTO and my partner in the company, and I'm like, this is not at all what I expected. And Serge said, well, it's a collab, dude. You're gonna have to accept that people don't do what you're expecting, because otherwise you can do it yourself. And so I answer him. I'm like, okay, let's do this. And that's how the first piece started. It was the black box. We did 8, only 8.
Wow.
And that was 2009 was the launch. And then the next piece we did together was 2016, I think, 7 years later, with the LM1. In the meantime, unfortunately, gone bankrupt. Because that's also the other thing which I think is incredible with Alain. People are rediscovering him today. It's a bit like Sean Connery. It's a bit like, I mean, Sean Connery was James Bond, and he was a star. And then he had 20 years where he more or less disappeared and did probably not very good movies because he wasn't chosen anymore. And then there was the name, was it The Name of the Rose? Or something like that? Where he arrives and he's back, and he's an older person.
But he's
everybody
so cool.
thinks like, wow, he's so incredible.
Right.
And I feel this is Alain's moment of The Name of the Rose.
Absolutely.
And people are rediscovering how incredible he was. And unfortunately, he had these really tough 10, 15 years. And I'm so happy that finally the world is rediscovering Alain Silberstein. So this is really cool.
That's awesome, and I love the analogy with Sean Connery, who then went into played a role in The Untouchables and won an Academy Award for that as well, which was a great movie. So Max, thank you so much for the honor of selecting this watch. I had a kind of a similar experience when Alain gave us his design for this. So I think both of us have long admired Benoît Mintiens from Ressence. Yeah. We love the Type 1, the Type 1 Slim, which is the base for that watch. He's got this incredible what he calls the ROCS, which is the Ressence Orbital Convex System, which is a module of 107 parts, which creates this kind of crazy regulator, but it's like an animated theater. So it's being driven by the minute wheel. You have the minute hand going around the dial, but then you've got all these other sub-dials that are kind of revolving at their own speed. The hour goes at the hours. The seconds completes 60 revolutions every hour, or 3,600 ticks, and then you've got a days of the week indicator. And I just love what he did. So remember when because I was super inspired by you, obviously, I had the pleasure to meet Alain, and I was like, Alain, is there any collaboration that you would like to do that you haven't done? And he said, yes, Benoît Mintiens, and for the reason that you mentioned earlier as well to me when you first came here, because neither of them are really from the watch industry. Benoît is industrial designer, Alain is an interior architect, and so, but both of them somehow have become great successes in the context of this wonderful industry, again, as a result of what you've given for independent watchmaking. But then, so then I kind of expected that he would just do his colorful hands, his Kandinsky questionnaire, circle, triangle, and square. And then he came with that, and I was like, dude, I was like, I think it's awesome, but what the hell am I looking at, right? So then he was like, oh, you see, one of my favorite paintings is this painting by Philippe de Champagne. The English title is not interesting. It's Vanitas, still life with skull, tulip, and hourglass, but the French being the French, the French one is much better. It's called Vanitas, Allégorie de la vie humaine, right? So, but basically it's what people call a memento mori. So you've got a skull reminding everyone that, man is mortal. You've got a tulip showing that the flower is wilting and decaying, and then you've got the hourglass to tell you that, time is passing. And it's a reminder to say that you must seize the day, carpe diem, as they say in Latin. And it was funny because when I saw that, I was like, but there's no person that has seized the day more in the past 2 decades than Max Büsser, right? So the fact that you're wearing that watch is quite extraordinary. And then the last thing I just had wanted to mention, because I asked Alain, how many would you like to make? And of course, we could have made however many he wanted, but he said, let's just make 36 of them, because there's a belief in his religion, Judaism, that at any given moment there are 36 righteous individuals on earth. And through their good acts, through their charitable works, they are basically saving humanity. And the great thing about it, which is almost like a Marvel origin story, is they don't even know who they are, right? And so when I had mentioned to Alain, hey, Max Büsser wants to buy the #1 piece of this amazing collaboration between you and Ressence, he says, that's so fitting, because he's always believed that you're one of those 36 righteous individuals. And hang on, if you think about it from the perspective of what you've done for the entire independent watchmaking industry, if you think about it from the perspective of what you've done for Alain Silberstein, if you think about it from the perspective of raising $172,000 last year for breast cancer, bro, it's clear that you are.
I'm very touched. Yeah, getting a bit emotional here. Thank you. Can we talk about Benoît?
Yes, let's talk about
Because
Benoît.
let's not forget Benoît.
Yes.
I mean, 2010, he's got a little table in Basel World. It's his first presentation, first time that he shows his watch. Nobody knows who he is. And actually, Serge, again, I'm on my little booth presenting my piece. He says, you should go and see what this guy has done. So I go and see that, and I introduce myself, and I think this is incredible what he's done. This already, his whole idea. And it was interesting because it was the same year that Harry Winston came out with the Opus 10, which was exactly the same complication, albeit a different price point. And again, they had a completely integrated movement. It was a different, but I mean, it was, again, synchronicity, amazing. Huh? And I got to know him, and I met this super humble, incredibly driven guy who lives in Antwerp. He's a product designer. He did this, that I think that he kept his day job for the first 5 years of Ressence.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He's got a family with kids, and he would basically, he built Ressence on holidays, weekends and evenings, and he would come to Switzerland when he could and try and find suppliers to make his ideas come true. And some Swiss suppliers took him for some rides. And I've seen him battle like I've rarely seen anybody battle in this industry to go to get his dream come to life. And then after 5 years, he finally quits his job and gives 100% of it. That's 7 years ago. And I think that man is one of the greatest modern creators of our industry.
Wow.
Honestly, I am in awe of what he does, everything he does. A bit like Alain again. It's on the same, he's got one idea, and every year he comes out with something which is more amazing, where you could be jaded. Every time, like, wow, his new Type 8.
I love it.
It's like, wow, I sent him a message immediately.
Me too.
Like 2 days ago. This is incredible.
Right.
It's such a beautiful piece. He is, he's a great creator. So when you manage to get Alain and Benoît together,
Right.
you just, for me, it was a no-brainer. This is it. Yeah.
Well, that's-
so thank you, Wei. Thank you very much for
well-
making this come to life.
You're so kind, and to say that, yes, they are two amazing creators, but when the guy I consider to be the father of independent watchmaking buys a watch by two independent watchmakers and puts it on his wrist, I can't be more honored, sir. So thank you so much, Max.
Thank you very much.